Is the Big 12 going to be part of a postseason basketball tournament in Las Vegas? And is this the first step in power conferences moving away from the NCAA? Also, West Virginia just signed a big man, another big man. I'm going to give my thoughts on that as well. So stick around for this episode of Hoops from the Hills right after this word from our sponsor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you.
What is going on, college basketball fans, Mountaineer fans? This is Couz, and welcome into another episode of Hoops from the Hills. My partner, Mountaineer Paul, was not able to be with me for this episode today, and I wanted to bring you this information, so I thought I would just jump on here and do it. Also, I want to apologize in advance. I have been dealing with a lot of, I don't know if it's allergies. I'm a little under the weather, I guess. You'll have to bear with me. If my voice sounds a little bit off during this video, that's why. But let's dive right into the number one story I want to talk about, and that's this postseason tournament that the Big 12 could be participating in. First thing I want to do is share an article that appeared on the messenger.com, written by Neil Payne. It says, what Fox's proposed men's college basketball tournament in Las Vegas could look like. Earlier today, the Messenger's Seth Davis reported that Fox Sports is attempting to create a new men's college basketball tournament with the 16 best teams from the Big 10, Big 12, and Big East that didn't make the NCAA tournament. Held in Las Vegas, the new tourney would effectively be a made-for-television competitor to the nearly 100-year-old National Invitational Tournament, also known as the NIT. These broadcast rights are held by ESPN. Fox has TV agreements with the Big 10, Big 12, and Big East. Those teams would reportedly be required to play in the 16-team tourney as a condition of its formation. What will this proposed showcase look like? Here's who would have made it based on last year's net rankings from the NCAA, which would be used to determine qualification. Rutgers, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, UCF, Villanova, Seton Hall, Wisconsin, BYU, Nebraska, St. John's, Butler, and DePaul. Some really good schools on that list. There are some blue blood basketball programs on that list. I mean, you've got Villanova, Michigan, St. John's, and you've got a few really good Big 12 teams in Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech. So some really good basketball teams on that list. Let's continue with the article. Certainly last season's rankings provide a glimpse of the big-name schools that could headline Fox's proposed tournament, including Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, and Wisconsin. The chart above includes new conference members for 2023-24, such as Cincy, UCF, and BYU moving to the Big 12. And according to NET, the field would have boasted a pair of top 50 teams in Rutgers and Oklahoma State. The new tourney would not have included North Carolina, which turned down an NIT invite, or Oregon. However, as the other two top 50 net power conference teams that missed the NCAA tournament last season. That's because the reported agreement does not include the ACC or whatever might be left of the Pac-12, nor would it feature the SEC. But even if the conferences involved are just the Big 10, Big 12, and Big East, the list above would have also seen much of the NIT's field gutted, plunging that tradition-filled tournament into further irrelevance. 8 of the NIT's 21 at-large bids, which make up the vast majority of its best and most high-profile entrants, would have been contractually required to enter Fox's 16-team tournament instead. Plans for the new tournament aren't finalized yet, but if it happens, we might get a chance to see a fair number of decent power conference schools face off despite missing out on the big dance. So what are my thoughts on this? Well, I'm of the opinion I actually like this idea. Now, there have been a lot of people on social media who think it's a bad idea, and I understand why. They say it's just a glorified NIT, and that's fair, but here's why I disagree with that. The NIT, like the article mentioned, is filled with a lot of mid-major programs usually, along with the power conferences, along with the power conference teams. This tournament would be all power conference teams. I mean, think about it. Would you rather watch Oklahoma State versus Villanova or Oklahoma State versus Hofstra? because Hofstra was in it last year too. Would you rather watch Michigan versus Cincinnati or Michigan versus Sam Houston? That's just a couple of examples, folks. Also, all the games being in Vegas. I think that's an advantage because right now with the NIT, they move around to different campuses. I think it all being in one location in Vegas, number one, you'll draw fans there because who doesn't love to go to Vegas? Now, so I'm all for this idea. I think it's a great idea. And I think Brett Yormark's handprints are all over this, which I'll actually talk about here in just a minute. Now, we've all been hearing that many coaches and administrators have talked about the power conferences moving away from the NCAA and having their own tournament. We've even heard Bob Huggins talk about this in his own interviews before he, resigned as West Virginia's basketball coach. A couple of years ago, he mentioned it in a press conference. He thinks the NCAA should be made up of just the power conference schools. He thinks it would be better for TV, and it would bring more money to the power leagues and power teams in those power leagues. But I think this could be a step in the direction of moving away from the NCAA. Now, let's look at this from the Big 12 perspective and how it would impact the Big 12 and where Brett Yormark comes in the picture here. I think this, like I said earlier, I think it has Brett Yormark's prints all over it. He's talked about decoupling basketball from football for the next media deal because he thinks basketball is undervalued. We've also heard reports that Fox has wanted to get deeper and deeper into college basketball content. Now, they did that with this latest Big 12 TV deal. And if the Big 12 wants to decouple basketball from football, they could do that potentially even more going forward. And if Yormark wants to do that decoupling that he talks about, he needs to have a really good relationship with Fox because maybe he wants Fox to step to the plate and pay more money for Big 12 basketball content. How better to do that than to help Fox pull this off and compete with ESPN? And so why not partner with him on this? That's probably what he's thinking, right? And there is a risk to this, which I'll get to in a second. And Brett Yormark is a master salesman. And sales is all about building relationships with people and getting people to be advocates for you. This is a way for Brett Yormark to do that with Fox, to build a stronger relationship with Fox to help them achieve this goal here. Also, you can relate this to expansion to a degree as well. Could Brett Yormark, remember, when the Big 12 added the four corner schools of Utah, Arizona State, Arizona, Colorado, Fox agreed to come to the table, even though they weren't required to. Fox agreed to come to the table with more money to make that deal happen so that those schools could get a full share of the conference revenue. ESPN was contractually obligated to do so. Fox was not. Maybe this is Brett Yormark's quid pro quo, so to speak, of saying, okay, you did that for us, then the Big 12 will go to bat for you and try to make this tournament happen. That's possible there. Or maybe he's looking down the road at future potential expansion and saying, okay, I may want to bring in another team later on down the road, and I'll need Fox to step up to the plate and add more money to my deal so I can do that. And this is a way to get Fox in his corner. Now, I mentioned that there's a risk here, and it's a pretty big one in my opinion, and that's pissing off ESPN. ESPN and the leagues they have major deals with will not be part of this agreement. And we all know that ESPN owns 2/3 of the Big 12's TV deal. So if you want ESPN to come to the plate and give you a lot of money in the next round of TV deals, the next time you go to the negotiating table, you may not want to piss them off. And by helping Fox set this deal up, you could be doing that. Now, it's possible that the Big 12 don't want to be a part of this. It's possible that they're fighting this. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. The Big 10 and Big East don't really have anything to lose here because they're not TV partners with ESPN. The Big 12 is. Now, if your relationship with Fox is good enough come 2031 when you go to renegotiate that new deal, maybe you don't need ESPN. But let's face it, folks, ESPN is a giant when it comes to sports programming. You need to keep them in your back pocket. You need to keep a good relationship with them. So this could be risky. This could be really risky. I don't know. I'll be anxious to see how this plays out. But I want to hear your thoughts about it in the comment section, Couz's Corner family. Let me know what you think about this postseason tournament that the Big 12 could be a part of in Las Vegas. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, will really be interesting to you WVU fans, and that is a new player that West Virginia has signed for the 23-24 season. Again, I'm going to pull up an article here. This is an article in WVSportsNow, written by our friend of the show, Mr. Ethan Bach. Says WVU basketball adds 7-foot big man Ali Ragab to roster. Now, I hope I didn't butcher his name. But it says WVU basketball announced on Thursday afternoon that 7-foot big man Ali Ragab is joining the team for the 23-24 season. Ragab will be a walk-on for the Mountaineers. Ali is an outstanding student, a hard worker, and a great teammate who will be extremely beneficial in helping us prepare for our opponents, WVU interim head coach Josh Eilert said per release. With his size, he will provide a different perspective in our practices and in our game prep. Ali has a strong work ethic who will fit in well with our program, end quote. Ragab played for Gannon University for the last 2 seasons. Ragab averaged 2.8 points and 2.8 rebounds in 9.2 minutes of play. Ragab played high school basketball at Rock Top Academy, a top prep school in Pennsylvania. Ragab, a native of Egypt, helps give West Virginia's front court a true big man to practice and work out with. WVU brings in transfers Jesse Edwards, Akuk, and Quinn Slazinski from the transfer portal and returns Patrick Sumanik to round out the bigs. Ragab comes to WVU as a junior and will have 2 years of eligibility to play. So what are my thoughts on Ali Ragab? I agree with Ethan here. He is a walk-on. This young man is a project. It's going to take him some work. He kind of reminds me of Logan Rout, a Logan Rout type player. We remember Logan Rout came in. He was very raw. He was a walk-on, needed a lot of work. He was a football star in high school. But Huggins liked the fact that he had this size and was a big body if they needed it in the middle, and was somebody they could bang around with at practice. Big 12 is a very physical conference. There's a lot of very physical bigs in this league. And if you've never faced that at practice, then how are you going to face it in a game? Well, Ali Ragab gives Jesse Edwards, Akuk, and these other bigs somebody to bang around with at practice to help them get used to that physicality. And who knows? He could become a very good player with some work, with some time in the gym, honing his skills. He could be a good player for the Mountaineers and actually contribute on the court in games at some point down the road. I think he has 2 years of eligibility remaining, if I'm not mistaken. So, maybe he can come in and contribute. And, he's 7'2". It never hurts to have a guy 7'2" on the basketball court. If nothing else, he looks intimidating getting off the bus. So, he's a walk-on, so he's not using a scholarship. We all know he could end up earning a scholarship later on down the road. So I like this addition. Never hurts to have an extra big on your roster. And he's an inside presence. He's going to be able to rebound the ball fairly well. And he's going to be able to disrupt shots in the middle, too, at 7'2". I want to hear your thoughts, West Virginia fans, on the signing of Ragab. What do you think about him? Do you think it was a good addition for Coach Eilert and his staff? I want to hear your opinion in the comment section. Guys, we ask that if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel here at Hoops from the Hills. We're trying to get these numbers up. There's not been a whole lot of content to talk about here in the off season, but nonetheless, we still try to keep content flowing for you as much as we possibly can. Also, I mentioned dropping a comment, but also please don't forget to like the video. Give the thumbs up if you like the content here at Hoops from the Hills. And if you like this specific video, hit that thumbs up button for us. Guys, we really appreciate what you've done for us here at Hoops from the Hills, helping us grow. We're a young channel. We're still growing. It's not that far down the road that basketball season will be starting again, and we'll begin to give more content here on the channel. But in the meantime, guys, come check me out at my football channel, Couz's Corner. So please subscribe to me there. Go check out my partner, Mountaineer Paul, over at his channel, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. Please sub that up as well. We appreciate you watching this video and appreciate all your support. And until the next video, I'm out. Let's go Mountaineers.